What Kind of Watches, an anime about 3 assassins from the Tsukiyono company who were assigned to take down the boss of the Akatsuki syndicate. Their mission leads them to a massive casino where the target is busy gambling his life savings away. But he's clearly in rage mode because his luck is nerfed and he can't win a single hand tonight. One of his subordinates even decides to troll him while eating a massive dessert, basically adding insult to injury. Meanwhile, our 3 female assassins are stationed across the street, spying on the target, while grumbling about their low-tier salaries. They're enviously eyeing that rich NPC lifestyle, but the envy is cut short because they've actually got a job to do. So Arisha pulls out a bomb she secretly stole from the president. Without warning the squad, Amagi lights the fuse, sending the entire group into a total panic, especially since none of them were actually ready to yeet it yet. Komori desperately tries to find a solution, thinking if she can land a perfect pro-gamer throw, it'll obliterate the target inside the casino, but unfortunately things don't go according to plan. Komori fumbles the throw and ends up dropping the bomb inside their own building, and the resulting explosion yeets all 3 of them into the Shadow Realm in a comedic burst of chaos. Watching this play out, Wakana is completely floored by the storytelling, and later at school, he and Marin are binge-watching Tsukam together. Wakana admits he's actually vibing with the anime and the Yakuza characters, so Marin pauses the screen right when Arisha appears and announces she's speedrunning this cosplay next. She even reenacts the scene that made her fall in love with the character, explaining how Arisha's energy is just built different. Marin then starts gushing about the bunny-themed costumes in the show, pointing out all the different versions and basically losing her mind. She says it's perfectly normal to be into this sort of thing, since bunny girls are a staple in anime for that visual attraction. This makes Wakana imagine an entire army of bunny girl enthusiasts, but Marin adds that these outfits are a classic Halloween pick, explaining that they're a timeless look that never goes out of style. Suddenly, a spark of inspiration hits Wakana like a critical hit, reminding him of the beauty found in a masterfully crafted Hina doll, so he promises to finish the anime today to start sketching. Marin tells him not to overwork himself while wondering if she should book another studio for the photoshoot, but the mention of a studio makes Wakana freeze as he remembers that awkward hotel experience they had last time. To avoid a repeat disaster, he begs to see a picture of the location first. So Marin shows him a photo sent by their friend Suzuka featuring a President Luna cosplay. She says she wants to rent that exact same spot, and then out of nowhere she offers Wakana some of her pocky. Totally hyped, he promises Marin he'll speedrun the rest of the series today so he can start cooking up Arisa's legendary costume. She leans in closer expecting him to bite the bait, but a loud chomp interrupts the tension, as Marin casually finishes the snack while chuckling at his reaction. A little later, Wakana is fully absorbed in the anime until their calm is interrupted by a familiar voice, because Nao-chan has spawned in. She finds them hanging out near the stockroom and gives a small wave, though Marin scolds her for ghosting her messages. To fix the vibes, Marin offers Nao some pocky, which works like a charm before they head off to lunch. On the weekend, Marin is riding the train to Wakana's house while nervously checking the text he sent her. Since he almost never initiates an invite, she's feeling giddy at the thought of a date. But when she arrives, our MC looks completely nerfed by technical issues with the costume. Marin tries to hide her disappointment, but her face is definitely giving her away, though Wakana doesn't even notice. He explains that the upper part keeps slipping down no matter what, so Marin suggests using invisible straps to keep it in place. She holds the fabric up to show him, but Wakana notes that straps would make the waist sag, so Marin says they can use clips to give it that flattering silhouette. Wakana isn't thrilled but eventually agrees, and then she drapes the tailcoat over the suit to show how it hides the straps. She suggests they head out to buy them right away, and Wakana is impressed by her go-getter energy. They arrive at a boutique dress store where Wakana hands his sketch to an elderly attendant who studies the revealing drawing. With a bit of hesitation, he asks who the costume is for, and when Wakana says it's mine, the man looks puzzled. He quickly recovers, reminding himself that gender-neutral fashion is a vibe, so he finds no reason to judge. He tells Wakana he'll look great in it, just as Marin walks in asking if he found the straps yet. The clerk's face goes pale as he realizes he totally misunderstood the situation, but Marin is just amused. She says she wouldn't mind seeing him in a bunny suit, but the clerk offers a pro tip about using corset boning instead. This hits Wakana like a ton of bricks because the anime didn't show how the physics worked, leaving Marin disappointed. Her reaction confuses them, but Wakana realizes they'd used a corset before and the idea flew right over his head. He sinks to his knees, lamenting his overconfidence and for forgetting the fundamentals of costume design. But the clerk tells him that making mistakes is just part of the process. Back home, Wakana wastes no time sewing the corset bones in and asks Marin to try it on for a fit check. He waits nervously until he hears her calling for help. So he bursts in only to freeze instantly because her panties are visible underneath the bikini-style suit. Wakana immediately bolts out and slams the door shut while Marin begs for help with the issue. The day of the shoot finally arrives and they head to a top-tier casino-themed set at the studio. While Marin goes to change, Wakana admires the scenery, comparing it to how Hina dolls are displayed on ornate stages. A few minutes later, Marin peeks out and asks if he's really okay with the reveal, and he says he's fine as long as he focuses. Marin reassures him that she's prepared something to minimize the skin exposure, then steps out with extra stockings. Marin is vibing, but Wakana is staring at her horrified because he does not see how this minimizes anything at all. She grins and pulls at the stockings which look exactly like skin, and once the shoot begins, Wakana finds it impossible to concentrate. He keeps getting distracted by the outfit, so Marin suggests switching to the Chinese-themed backdrop. Her movements look suggestive without her even trying, making Wakana even more uncomfortable, so he has to go stand by a wall. Eventually, he calls for a short break, and Marin is thrilled with the results while reviewing the photos. She starts talking about another bunny suit she wants for Halloween and explains the lore of net stockings. Wakana admits he's not well versed in net stockings, so Marin pulls out her phone to show him some examples. She casually invites him to a Halloween party with friends and suggests that he should dress up too. The night of the party arrives, and everyone is in costume and ready for karaoke, with Wakana wearing a bunny mascot suit. The girls are relieved to have guys with them so they don't get hit on all night, but Wakana refuses to sing. He says he only knows the theme song to Flower Princess, and as they take photos, Marin tries to pull him in. One of Marin's friends says people think she's cute, which disappoints the crossdresser who wanted to be the center of attention. Wakana listens quietly, wondering why he even came since he hoped to meet other cosplayers. Soon the conversation shifts to him, and everyone is shook to find out he made the costume and the makeup. The cross-dressing guy asks how he learned all of that, commenting on how unusual it is for a guy to be into sewing and makeup. Wakana gets hit with a reality check. Relying on anime physics was a mistake since the show never explained how that costume actually stays on. Marin's looking pretty let down, even though they found a better way to make it work. Her reaction has both our MC and the clerk feeling like total NPCs. It finally clicks. They've used a corset before, but they completely forgot the meta for this build. He literally drops to his knees, realizing his confidence became his biggest debuff. Back when he was a noob, he researched every single pixel of a design. But now he's skipping the tutorial and jumping straight into the final boss of sewing. The clerk hits him with that wholesome energy, reminding him that failing is just part of the grind to level up. Back at the base, Wakana wastes zero time installing the corset bones. He calls Marin in for a gear check to see if the fit is legendary. While she's changing, Wakana is outside fighting for his life against his own nerves. Suddenly, he hears Marin screaming for a support main. He bursts in like a hero, only to be stun-locked by what he sees. Marin's got the costume on, but there's a massive glitch in the system. Since the fit is basically a bikini, her panties are showing up in high definition. Wakana performs a frame-perfect retreat and slams the door shut. Marin's pleading for help from the other side, still totally lost on how to fix this wardrobe bug. The day of the raid is finally here, and they head to the studio together. They walk into a casino-themed map filled with god-tier props. It's the perfect backdrop for this shoot. While Marin goes to change her skin, Wakana takes a second to admire the scenery. He finally gets why cosplayers spend so much gold on the right locations. The detail in the props reminds him of the ornate stages used for Hina dolls back home. A few minutes later, Marin peeks out asking if he's actually okay with the outfit, knowing their last revealing shoot was a lot to handle. Wakana's shaking, but claims he's fine as long as he reminds himself to stay focused. Marin smiles and tells him she's got a secret item to help minimize the skin exposure. She disappears and respawns 5 minutes later in full gear, but this time she's added some stockings into the mix. Marin is loving the look, but Wakana is staring at her like she's a horror movie jump scare. He's failing to see how this covers up literally anything. She just grins and starts pulling at what looks like her actual skin. It's a total illusion. They begin the shoot, but Wakana's concentration is currently at 0%. He keeps getting distracted by how revealing the fit feels despite Marin's attempts to cover up. Marin suggests switching to the Chinese theme map and sprints over to the new set. She's totally oblivious to how suggestive her movements are, making Wakana's social anxiety peak. Desperate to reboot his brain, he puts the phone down and pleads with a wall for some extra focus. Eventually, he calls for a quick break to avoid a total system crash. Marin uses the downtime to check the loot and is absolutely hyped with the pictures. She starts rambling about a different bunny suit she wants to pull for a Halloween event. Then she starts geeking out over different types of net stockings and how the patterns vary. Wakana admits he's not exactly a stocking scholar and doesn't get the hype. Marin doesn't skip a beat and starts showing him a gallery of examples. Then she casually drops an invite for him to join her and the squad for a Halloween party. She even suggests he should dress up and join the fun. The night of the party arrives and everyone is in costume, ready to dominate the karaoke stage. Marin is with her usual party members, while Wakana follows along in a full bunny mascot suit. The girls are relieved to have some guys in the party, otherwise they'd be getting hit on all night. At one point, Marin offers Wakana a turn at karaoke. He politely refuses, saying he only knows the theme song to Flower Princess. They take more group photos and Marin tries to pull him into the frame, but he's staying in the shadows. As they chat, one of Marin's friends compliments her, saying she's heard people think Marin is cute. This actually bums out one of the guys in the group. He cross-dressed for the occasion and was hoping to be the ultimate attention grabber. Wakana listens quietly, wondering if he even belongs in this party. He was hoping to find other pro cosplayers to learn some new tech, but Marin's friends are all casual NPCs. Soon the spotlight turns back to Wakana. Everyone is shook to find out he didn't just craft the costume, but he's the one who did her makeup too. The cross-dressing guy asks how a dude even learns that, saying it's pretty rare for a guy to be into sewing and makeup. That comment hits Wakana like a critical hit from a boss, triggering some major trauma from back when he was nerfed by classmates for having hobbies that weren't cool enough. But another member of the squad steps in to remind him that being a creator is actually op now, especially since his brother is a literal beauty pro. And when Marin reveals Wakana's family makes legendary Hina dolls, the whole room goes into admiration mode. Even the cross-dresser is simping for those artisan skills. For the first time in forever, our MC is speechless, but not because he's hiding in his shell. He's actually feeling the power of social acceptance. Just as he's starting to relax, though, the vibe shifts when Nao-chan asks if he's officially dating Marin, causing Wakana to literally yeet his drink through his mascot head in a classic rom-com fumble, while his face turns into a literal tomato. Everyone turns toward him with wide eyes, looking for that relationship status update. So Wakana panics and starts mashing the deny button, stumbling over his words while his brain basically short-circuits from the embarrassment. Marin steps in to save him, speedrunning him out of the room so he can ditch the soda-soaked costume. But while he's in the bathroom cleaning up, he starts overthinking their whole dynamic. Despite all their quality time, he convinces himself that a high-tier goddess like Marin is way out of his league, and they're just stuck in the friend zone forever. Meanwhile, Marin is outside wiping the mascot head, her mind drifting away from the task. Because even though she didn't expect a confession, Wakana's instant rejection of the idea felt like a critical hit to her chest. It's true they aren't official yet, but something about how firmly he denied the dating allegations is really bothering her. She starts wondering if he actually finds the idea of dating her uncomfortable, which is a total mood. But before she can finish that train of thought, two unfamiliar men approach her for a chat. When Wakana walks out to find the hallway empty, he spots Marin surrounded by these random NPCs, and his brain immediately jumps to the worst-case scenario where they're hitting on her. He rushes in like a hero with zero plan, pushing past the blonde guy and grabbing his hand while offering to take Marin's place in whatever shady deal he thinks is happening. The two men just stare at him in total confusion. And after a few awkward seconds, it becomes obvious that hitting on her was never the agenda. Marin explains that these aren't creeps, they're actually her legendary hairstylists, Hikaru and Manabu, who recognized her from across the server. Hikaru couldn't resist scolding her for neglecting her hair health. So Marin starts grumbling while Manabu calls him an old hack, sparking some top-tier banter between the two pros. The realization hits Wakana like a massive brick. So he retreats back into his mask to hide his self-loathing while Marin tries her best to cheer him up. Despite the secondary embarrassment, Marin can't help but smile, remembering how he stepped in without hesitation to protect her, even if it was a total fail. She leans in with a blush and plants a soft kiss right on the mask. But just then, Wakana turns around afraid he might have made her mad. He asks if he heard a strange click sound, making Marin freeze as she realizes the sound was her kiss. She turns red and storms off without answering. But just before they get back to the karaoke room, she lets out a sneeze. Sure enough, the next day at school, the teacher announces that Marin will be absent. The class starts whispering, totally caught off guard by the news. Wakana quietly tries to ping her with a message, getting increasingly anxious as he gets ghosted throughout the entire day. His focus is completely deleted by the unanswered chat, and he can't concentrate on a single thing in class. So with every passing minute, his worry reaches a new level. Eventually, he decides to visit her home early, and when Marin finally opens the door, she's shocked to see her creator standing there. He explains he couldn't leave her solo while she's sick, admitting he actually faked being sick just to ditch school early and check on her. But before Marin can even respond, her knees give out and she collapses right into his arms. Panicked, Wakana carries her inside and realizes she's drenched in sweat and needs a change of clothes. In a panic, Wakana quickly carries her back to her apartment. Once inside, he sees she's drenched in sweat and needs a gear swap ASAP. Marin weakly mumbles that he can grab something from the laundry basket nearby, gently helping her eat by offering a spoonful and making sure to blow on it so it doesn't deal fire damage. Marin takes a bite and gives him a small compliment, but then tears start welling up in her eyes. She admits she was actually terrified of being alone and unable to move, which makes Wakana's heart soften as he realizes he definitely made the right call. He continues feeding her with a smile, glad he can finally play the support role for once. After she finishes the meal and takes her meds, she asks if he can stay a bit longer, beaming when he agrees. The vibe is perfect until the doorbell rings and Nao-chan's voice echoes from the hallway. Wakana instantly freezes, knowing that if the squad sees him here, they'll jump straight to the conclusion that they're dating. In a total panic, he speedruns onto the veranda to hide, leaving Marin wondering why he couldn't just hang out with the group. Unfortunately, he hides in the cold air too long and catches the sickness debuff himself. Days later, once they're back at 100% HP, the duo hits an aquarium for a casual cosplay convention shoot. Marin is once again dressed as Shizuka, exploring the city instead of just sticking to the crowded event area. Suddenly, the doorbell rings and they hear Noah's voice calling out from the hall. She's brought a whole rescue party to check on Marin too. It's Subaru from Cosmic Idols, a dating sim Marin regularly grinds, where players have to keep their secret relationships under wraps or risk a game over. She gushes over the uniform's accuracy, but notices the cosplayer is acting super sus. The girl admits her skirt hook popped off, so Marin and Wakana immediately start searching the ground like it's a high-priority side quest. They find the loot, and the cosplayer introduces herself as M&A. And while M&A is surprised they gave out their real names, they quickly bond over a photo request. However, M&A says no because his costume isn't 100% accurate without the hook. So Wakana pulls out his emergency sewing kit to save the day. He freezes when he realizes he can't go into the women's restroom. But M&A calmly explains that they can just use the men's room since he's actually a guy. Our duo is left speechless as they realize they've been looking at a high-tier crossdresser this whole time. As the girl turns around, Marin recognizes the character immediately. She's cosplaying Subaru from Cosmic Idols, a dating sim Marin has been grinding lately. Marin explains that all these idols are romanceable, but you have to keep the relationship hidden or it's game over. She gushes over the accuracy of the uniform, seriously impressed by the level of detail. But she notices something is wrong with the fit. Marin sees the cosplayer fidgeting and asks if there's a problem with the gear. The cosplayer admits the hook on her skirt popped off and probably dropped somewhere on the map. Without hesitation, Marin and Wakana drop down to search the ground, promising to help find the missing loot. It doesn't take long before they locate the quest item. The cosplayer is relieved and introduces herself as Amin, her official handle. Marin and Wakana swap names, casually mentioning that Wakana is the one who crafts all her costumes. Amin is surprised they just dropped their real names like that, but she warms up when Marin asks for a selfie. Amin initially agrees, but then checks her gear and hesitates. Since the costume is incomplete, she declines the photo, feeling she's failing the character. To her, maintaining 100% accuracy is a cosplayer's holy duty. That's when Wakana steps in, offering to perform a quick repair on the skirt. He pulls out a compact sewing kit, explaining he always carries one because Marin is constantly having wardrobe disasters. Amin is unsure but eventually lets him help. But then Wakana freezes, realizing he can't exactly walk into the ladies' room to help. That's when Amin calmly tells him it's fine and they can just use the men's room instead. She casually reveals that she's actually a AT. Wakana and Marin are absolutely speechless. They didn't even realize he was cross-dressing. They head to the dressing room where Wakana starts mending the skirt while Amin touches up his makeup. Meanwhile, Marin is off exploring the convention floor, happily hunting for merch. As Wakana works on the repair, he can't stop staring. It's seriously hard to believe Amin is a guy. Between the perfect makeup and the feminine aura, he's totally pulling it off. Wakana's eyes wander to Amin's makeup bag, where he spots a bottle that looks like liquid glue. It looks pretty out of place compared to the usual cosmetics. He starts wondering if that's the secret source for Amin's look. The thought sticks, making him speculate about how glue even fits into a cosplay build. He's getting so distracted his focus is slipping from the task at hand. He completely loses track of his stitching pattern. His hands stop as his brain runs through all the possibilities. Amin eventually notices the change in energy and asks if he's doing okay. Wakana snaps back into it and redirects his focus to the skirt. Meanwhile, Marin runs into Suzuka, who's also at the con. They hype each other up, immediately talking about the success of their last shoot. Suzuka compliments Marin's cosplay, seriously impressed with how the outfit turned out. Marin is thrilled to find out Suzuka is actually a fan of the franchise. Marin is delighted to hear that Suzuka knows about slippery girls. Even more surprising, Suzuka admits that it was Marin's first cosplay of Suzuka that got her interested in the franchise in the first place. The admission fills Marin with pride. The conversation shifts to a current event in the game, and soon after to Marin's costume itself. Suzuka examines the craftsmanship, complimenting the level of accuracy. Then Suzuka recalls how the character Suzuka is known for not wearing undergarments, and how Marin had committed to mimicking fine markings in the past. Suzuka nervously attempts to ask if Marin has followed that detail again. Marin without hesitation lifts her akama to reveal a pair of modest shorts, explaining that it's still a public convention. Suzuka panics and quickly urges her to lower it again before someone sees. Later in the day, Marin reunites with Wakana and Amin in one of the rest areas of the convention. Amin thanks them again, sharing that this is actually his first time attending an event like this. When he smiles, Marin melts as his expression is a perfect recreation of Subaru's soft and charming demeanor. Wakana, still curious about the earlier discovery, finally mentions the glue container he saw. Amin confirms it's liquid glue and demonstrates how he uses it to subtly stick parts of his wig to his face, softening his look to give him a top-tier feminine silhouette that looks completely natural on camera. He explains that it's a reliable buff for photography, and as he shows them a gallery of past cosplays on his phone. Marin and our MC are completely floored by the results. Amin's transformation into female characters is convincing on every level because the attention to detail is actually op, making it hard to believe someone so effortlessly feminine is actually a guy underneath. Amin shyly asks if his posing looks like a glitchy NPC, but Marin tells him he's doing great, even showing one of her own photos for a quick comparison. Wakana scrolls further through the album, but suddenly pauses on a particular image, where the costume reveals a convincingly natural chest, leaving him staring in total disbelief because it doesn't look photoshopped at all. Amin casually drops the lore on detachable chests and offers to show them the gear, which sends Marin into hype mode while our MC immediately regrets looking so closely, his face frozen in silent panic. They head to a section of the store where the various detachable items are displayed, and both of them are amazed at how realistic they look, right down to the skin texture and natural curves of the character model. Amin explains that matching exaggerated anime proportions is basically a high-level grind, so he relies on these items to complete the illusion. And Marin agrees, admitting the character she's portraying has a massive chest size that even real girls struggle to replicate. These buffs are especially helpful when the outfit shows a bit of skin, so to demonstrate, Amin literally straps one of the chests onto Wakana. Marin gasps in delight, her eyes sparkling with mischief as she reaches out and starts fumbling them, leaving our MC to blush in the shadow realm while he desperately tries to cover up. Unbothered, Amin resumes the store tour, guiding them through a maze of supplies, lenses, and makeup tools that the duo has never even seen on their local server before. Wakana is curious about the female-presenting meta and asks what Amin is most particular about, which catches him off guard until Wakana steps closer to discuss makeup techniques for the reverse transformation. Amin finally gives in and shares his secret process, explaining that he emphasizes his eyes with liquid liner to draw a subtle pouch underneath, making them look rounder and larger. Marin perks up at the tip, admitting she's tried that trick herself but always fails the execution, but then Wakana notices that all of Amin's makeup is pink. Since the character Subaru's motive is pink, he wanted to stay consistent with the theme. But then he points out a small orange concealer and tells them it's an essential item for deleting his 5 o'clock shadow. The sudden reminder that Amin is actually a guy momentarily stuns Marin, who had totally forgotten the reality because his cute stats are just too high. They explore further and start picking up loot for themselves, with Wakana wondering if some of these tools could be used for Hina doll making, until he spots a strange-looking item and asks about its function. Amin says those odd tools are mostly used to craft high-tier weapons, props, or armor pieces before leading them to another section of the store lined with character wigs. Wakana learns that styling wigs is a high-difficulty skill, so many cosplayers just buy ready-made gear. And Amin admits he does the same, thankful that these shops exist so he can actually portray the characters he loves. Wakana agrees that cosplay should be accessible for everyone, and later on outside the convention, they start taking photos. Marin beams at the shots because Amin managed to perfectly embody Subaru's elegant aura, but mid-discussion, her face tape suddenly snaps loose, forcing her to run over to Wakana for emergency repairs while Amin admires how natural they look together. Suddenly, 2 cosplayers from the same game approach for a photo, and Amin cheerfully agrees, while politely informing them that he's actually a guy cosplaying as a female idol. Instead of reacting badly, the girls are genuinely impressed by how convincing he looks, so our MC offers to take their photo, which turns out to be a 10-10 shot that leaves everyone smiling. Marin watches the scene unfold, thinking it looks exactly like a wholesome slice-of-life anime, and she declares this convention one of her best before rushing in for photos with everyone too. They spend the afternoon taking posed shots and candid photos full of laughter, and as they finally part ways, their new friends thank them for the legendary memories. During a break, Amin wonders if he's being noticed because of the character's popularity polls, but Marin insists it's all because he looks so cute, then asks if Subaru was the reason he started this journey. Amin explains it all began when his sister asked to dress him up for a drag show, and once he saw the full wig and makeup transformation, he couldn't believe the character model staring back at him. He started asking for clothes and makeup tips, expanding into cosplay while being thankful for his open-minded family. His mother was supportive from day one, which is great because growing up, he was often nerfed by teasers for not being tall or having a deep voice. Cosplay gave him a way to feel proud of his looks, helping him love himself and open up to new friends. But he shares a tragic story from college where a girl he liked found his closet full of dresses and assumed he was living with another woman. When he explained he was a crossdresser, she told him to delete the hobby, so he eventually realized how wrong that was and broke up with her to protect his passion. Marin is literally moved to tears by the cruelty, sniffling about how anyone could be so cold-hearted toward the person they love. Amin gives her a grateful smile, reassuring her that he's no longer hurt by it because he continues to choose the life he wants and he's doing just fine. Marin blows her nose loudly, making everyone smile at her unfiltered reaction, and then Amin admits he was actually wary of Wakana at first, fearing he'd be seen as some sort of weirdo. Our MC quickly denies that he'd ever think something so mean, and his sincerity makes Amin apologize for ever doubting his intentions. He admits this was one of his best days ever due to the acceptance, and as they part ways at the station, the duo can't stop staring at how attractive he is even without the gear. A few days later, Wakana lunches with his grandpa before heading straight to Marin's professional photo shoot, where he finds her posing like a legend while surrounded by a small crew. He asks if he's allowed to stay, and a staff member smiles, assuming he's the boyfriend, which our MC doesn't even register because he's too worried about how heavy her winter gear must feel. Magazines shoot months ahead, so she's rocking seasonal fits completely out of sync with the summer heat. But she's a reader favorite who carries herself with total ease, making Wakana notice how different she looks compared to her cosplay personas. It turns out she's been taking on extra shoots to save up for a high-tier DSLR camera, and the staff tries to convince Wakana to help her work exclusively with them, still thinking they're dating. He panics and clarifies they're just classmates, but his mention of a money-based relationship only makes it sound worse. So once she wraps the shoot, Marin switches into a stylish fit and mentions she's headed to a birthday party. She and Wakana head off to pick up a cake, leaving the staff waving goodbye. While assuming the two are off to celebrate a private birthday date, just the two of them, she immediately assumed he was living with another girl. Amin tried to explain he was just a crossdresser, but she just told him to quit the hobby. He agreed at first, but eventually realized that was wrong and broke up with her. The story stuns Wakana, but Marin is literally moved to tears. She starts crying over how cruel it is to ask someone to give up something they love. Sniffling, she says she can't understand how people can be so cold-hearted. Amin gives her a grateful smile, thanking her for caring so much about his story. He reassures her that he's not hurting anymore. Cosplay gave him the confidence to love himself, so he's doing just fine now. Marin blows her nose loudly, making both guys smile at her unfiltered reaction. Amin admits he was actually wary of them at first, especially Wakana. He was worried Wakana would see him as some kind of weirdo. Wakana quickly says he'd never think that and would never be so mean. M.A. smiles at his sincerity and apologizes for ever doubting his intentions. It reminded him that there are people who will embrace him, so he doesn't have to assume the worst. As they part ways at the station, Amin is out of costume, but Wakana and Marin can't stop staring. They're both quietly admiring how good-looking he is. After he leaves, they both agree Amin is definitely an attractive dude. One day, Wakana calls his grandpa and invites him to lunch. At the table, Grandpa asks if Wakana has plans for the afternoon. Wakana confirms he's heading out soon. Wakana confirms that he'll be going out soon. After the meal, he heads straight to the location of Marin's photo shoot. When he arrives, he sees Marin posing effortlessly in front of the camera, fully in her element and surrounded by a small crew. He asks one of the female staff members if it's okay for him to be there. She smiles and assures him it's fine. Marin had informed them ahead of time that he'd be dropping by. She adds that it's pretty common for amateur models to bring your boyfriends along. Wakana doesn't quite register that the woman just referred to him as Marin's boyfriend. Instead, his attention shifts to Marin's outfit, and he expresses concern about how heavy and warm it must be. The woman explains that all of Marin's outfits for the shoot are winter-themed. Since fashion magazines shoot their spreads 3 to 4 months in advance, models often end up wearing seasonal clothing completely out of sync with the current weather. The staff is glazing Marin hard, saying she's the ultimate carry-on set, while our MC Wakana realizes her modeling aura is totally different from her cosplay mode. He continues to watch, fascinated by how she can switch her skin from a professional model to a dedicated cosplayer so effortlessly. The staff mentions that Marin has been picking up way more shifts lately. It clicks for Wakana. She's grinding these extra shoots just to save up enough gold to buy that high-tier DSLR camera she's been wanting. Turns out, Marin is a total fan favorite among their readers. Everyone loves working with her because she's not just photogenic, she's a genuinely fun presence that keeps the vibes high on set. Wakana finds himself quietly captivated by this professional mode version of Marin. The woman suddenly leans in and asks him to convince Marin to go exclusive, still thinking he's the official boyfriend. Wakana hits the panic button and clarifies they aren't dating, they're just classmates in the same party. He tries to explain that their relationship is purely financial because of the costume commissions, which honestly just makes him look more suspicious. Soon after, Marin wraps her shoot and swaps her gear for something comfortable but still stylish. He notes that her current outfit looks a bit more buffed than her usual casual wear. Marin excitedly shares that she's heading to a birthday party and is totally hyped for the celebration. She and Wakana are stopping by to grab the cake before they go full party mode. As they leave, the staffer is left confused but intrigued by their dynamic. Since it's not Marin's birthday month, she assumes the two are secretly celebrating Wakana's birthday in a private one-on-one session. Later, they're in Marin's room, which is completely decked out with high-level decorations for the occasion. The place looks less like an apartment and more like a high-tier shrine filled with masks she made for the occasion, and as she starts simping over her plushies and pillows, Wakana sits there awkwardly, realizing this is the daily meta Marin, even though she looked like a totally different person earlier today. He tells himself she's amazing for having so many beautiful versions of herself, and just as she finishes her declaration of love, she asks our MC to bring out the cake. Looking for a spot to rest her Shizuka mask, she decides to just yeet it onto a bottle of Fanta, leaving Wakana totally baffled at her creative logic, but soon the cultural festival grind begins at school. The class settles on a Russian roulette takoyaki booth, and as the teacher announces they only have 2 weeks to prepare, she warns them that staying past closing time will result in a points nerf, which is a problem because all class projects will be ranked this year, instantly boosting everyone's morale to hit that #1 spot. With the hype levels maxed out, the teacher mentions a beauty pageant will be held, but there's a catch because if a girl enters, she has to dress up as a boy. Marin's eyes light up because this is the perfect excuse to speedrun a crossplay, so she immediately volunteers. And after getting permission to cosplay for the event, she decides to go as Rei from the series Prince Host, which causes all the girls in class to squeal with excitement while Wakana just watches on, feeling totally confused. The boys explain that this series was a legendary harem hit that even got a live-action drama, and as they gush over the strong female lead, Marin announces she wants to wear the suit from the emotional bento scene, sending morale through the roof since the class now believes she's got that first-place plot armor. The teacher reminds her she needs a performance to wow the crowd, and as Marin confidently accepts, she lets the whole class know that Wakana is her secret weapon for the costume. Some students are lost, but Noah steps in to explain his op crafting skills, leading to Marin pumping her fist and declaring victory. Later that evening, Wakana starts his research on the anime, learning how the main character Koyomi meets the mysterious Rei, who turns out to be the #1 host at a club, hiding a secret double life to support her family after losing her parents. As he reaches the legendary bento scene, the raw emotion hits him like a critical hit. And suddenly, our MC is literally leaking tears because the storytelling is just that peak. He geeks out with Marin the next day, and as they gush over the manliest rival character Tsumugi, they start planning a custom 3-piece suit that captures Rei's subtle and graceful allure. Wakana decides to DIY the signature rainbow rose to save some gold, while also figuring out how to nerf Marin's curves with clever tailoring, which is a challenge because host suits are specifically designed to highlight the figure. Marin realizes he probably has her measurements memorized, which is a bit of a sus realization. But as the 2-week deadline sets in, she begins to panic and decides she'll tank the pressure by helping make the outfit herself. Wakana hands her a massive list of loot and instructions, but as she heads out to shop, she realizes that doing this without his usual support is actually terrifying, so she has to stop and hype herself up with a confident shout. Meanwhile, Wakana is stressing about a backup plan, and so he decides to go all in for the class, but when he walks into the festival prep room, everyone looks at him like he's crazy, insisting that he needs to focus 100% on Marin's cosplay instead of the interior design. He tries to argue that he can handle both grinds, but the squad tells him to stop trying to solo the whole festival. They leave the prep work to the rest of the party, meaning Wakana is officially assigned to the pageant support role, so they can secure that double victory and finish the event as the ultimate MVPs. Wakana starts a new series where the MC Koyomi meets a girl named Rei. Rei tries to act cool, but her stomach growls, revealing she's actually starving. Feeling bad for her, Koyomi offers to share her lunch. During lunch break, Koyomi's squad sees Rei again, but this time she's dressed as a guy. Koyomi doesn't recognize her, but later, Rei calls her out to return the bento and explain her secret identity. She works part-time as a male host under the name Rei to support her family. After their parents were taken by Truck Kun, her brother became a host to pay the bills, and she eventually joined the family business. She begs Koyomi to keep her double life under wraps. Koyomi is absolutely shook. The student council president and model student is secretly the one host at the Rainbow Rose Club. It's not long before Koyomi gets dragged into the host club world and meets the rest of the colorful cast. Finally, Wakana reaches the legendary bento scene. Rei, sans wig but still in her host uniform, sits down with Koyomi. Koyomi gives her a homemade meal, but starts feeling insecure about her commoner cooking. Compared to the luxury food Rei gets from her whale customers, the bento looks like basic NPC food. She wonders if she's actually special to Rei or just another fan. But plot twist, Rei treasures those bentos more than any 5-star meal. They remind her of her late mother and the peaceful days before her life became a grind. Life has been heavy, but her time with Koyomi is her only real comfort. Rei is grateful she met Koyomi, but she's terrified that her host persona means Koyomi will never believe her feelings are real. Wakana is straight up sobbing at this point. The emotional depth of this story is just too much for our MC. He finally understands why Marin and the fandom are so obsessed. This show is peak fiction. He shares his reaction with her, and Marin lights up, geeking out about how much she loves Rei's character. She talks about how the series tackles real conflict, and Wakana nods along, both of them totally swept up in the magic. They gush over how Rei is effortlessly cool yet kind, revealing more layers in every episode. The conversation shifts to Tsumugi, Koyomi's rival for Rei's heart. Despite her cold attitude, she's proven she'd raid a dungeon to protect Koyomi and Rei. Wakana mentions that epic moment when Tsumugi defended Koyomi from a group of low-ranked host bullies. They were mad that Koyomi knew Rei's secret, but Tsumugi wasn't having it. She scolded them, making it clear that Rei's true fans don't care about her gender. One stern look, and they were silenced like total NPCs. Marin gushes at the memory, calling Tsumugi the manliest character in the entire show. Wakana shows Marin his sketches for a 3-piece suit designed to capture all of Rei's charm. For makeup, instead of a masculine vibe, he wants to go androgynous to match Rei's graceful allure. They also discuss the iconic rainbow rose Rei wears on her lapel. Instead of buying an overpriced specialty item, Wakana suggests a DIY strat to save gold. Just buy a regular artificial rose and spray paint it themselves. Maximum efficiency. Marin worries she's too short for the role, but insoles should help her reach that host tier height. She suggests using that fancy fabric from a past corset, but Wakana shuts it down. He explains that Rei's vibe was never meant to be flashy. The costume should highlight her presence, not overshadow it with gaudy textures. He adds that Rei likely got roasted by her manager for not dressing fancy enough, so they have to find that low-key elite balance. Nothing too plain, but definitely nothing too loud. Plus, host suits are tailored to highlight the figure, which is a problem since Marin's S-tier curves are hard to hide. As Wakana stresses over how to downplay her figure, Marin realizes he has her measurements memorized, a pretty intimate realization. She shakes it off, thinking 2 weeks is plenty of time for this mission. But Wakana reminds her he has festival duties, so his schedule is completely booked. Reality hits like a truck, and Marin starts to panic about her Rei transformation coming to life. Heading back to class, she suddenly vows to craft Rei's outfit all by herself. They hit the sewing room where Wakana gives her the quest items list. He tells her to ask Uzami if she gets stuck on any unfamiliar gear. He promises to draft a guide, but he's worried it might be too high level for a beginner. Marin tries to look cool, but her visible trembling is a total giveaway. She heads out to shop, feeling the pressure. Usually she and Wakana are a 2-man party for these missions. Going solo feels like playing a boss battle without a healer. She stops to give herself a massive pep talk. With a confident shout, she vows to buy the right materials and finish the grind, then dashes out. Meanwhile, Wakana is drowning in what-if scenarios. He starts cooking up a backup plan just in case Marin hits a game over on the costume. He runs through his schedule and tries to believe in his own crafting abilities. He wants to do well for Marin and the whole class squad. He's determined not to be the weak link in the festival prep. Wakana walks into a class buzzing with festival energy. The whole room looks at him like he's a rare mob, and he's equally confused. When he offers to help with interior design, the NPCs tell him to scram and focus on helping Marin with her cosplay. Confusion spreads like a status effect until everyone realizes what's going on. Wakana thought he had to do everything himself because the teacher said the boys would handle the manual labor. His classmates insist he focuses on Marin, knowing that a 2-week deadline for a host suit is a nightmare difficulty quest. Shiki warns him he'll burn out trying to multitask like a bot, so he needs to prioritize. Wakana finally relents, and the squad tells him to leave the grunt work to them. That way, they can aim for the rank 1 spot in both competitions. The girls chime in, admitting they're terrible at sewing and really need Wakana to make sure Marin's look is perfect. As they roast their own lack of skills, Gojo is left speechless, because he assumed he was just a background NPC, but now the whole squad is actually counting on him to pull off a legendary craft. They tell him he's a total goat if he helps out, but they won't force the grind if he's too busy. However, when they realize he let Marin go shopping solo, they immediately start scolding him, knowing all too well that her shopping habits are dangerously op, and she has zero chill. They demand he speedrun to catch her before she buys something that ruins the budget, and as he dashes off, the whole class is cheering him on to secure that first-place plot armor. Gojo is feeling a massive morale buff as he rushes to find his partner, pinging Marin to wait at the station so they can finish this shopping quest together. They arrive at the dressmaker's shop and meet the owner Uzami-san, who notices Gojo's aura is looking way brighter today. Gojo reveals his sketch, and the pro instantly recognizes the high-tier host suit vibe. After hearing the vision, Uzami pulls out some matte satin that has an incredibly elegant and glossy finish. Marin and Gojo are instantly obsessed with the high-quality loot, with Marin declaring it the meta choice while flexing that she has more than enough gold to cover the cost.